Sometimes the figures we're asked to find the area of are not figures that fit into one of our formulas, like it's not a trapezoid or a rectangle. We call those composite figures. They're figures that are made up of other shapes. So what we're going to do is we're going to break them apart into shapes we do know how to find the area of. Now, taking a look at this living room, this L-shaped figure, we can divide this figure a few different ways. So I'm going to show you one way to do it, although it's certainly not the only way to do the problem. What I'm going to do is actually add a line in my diagram right there to divide this figure into two rectangles. Okay, I know how to find the area of a rectangle, and then I can simply add those two areas together to find my total area. So looking at this lower rectangle, actually it turns out to be a square since I see the sides are 5 by 5. So that has an area of 5 times 5, since the formula is just base times height, and we're assuming that the living room has right angles, I suppose. 5 times 5 gets us an area of 25 meters squared. So I like to write the answer right in the diagram and then circle it so I know what that area came from. Now for this upper rectangle, I have a base of 9, but I don't know what the height is. I don't know that side of it. But knowing that this entire side is 9 meters, and that this segment right here is 5 meters, this piece left over must be 4, because 4 plus 5 would add up to the 9 on the other side. Similarly, this piece right here is going to be 4. I'm going to need that in a moment to find perimeter. So I may need to do some thinking like that to find all my sides out, but then finding the area of this upper rectangle, doing base times height, 9 times 4 gets me an area of 36 square meters. So adding those two pieces together to get a total area of the living room, I've got 36 meters on top plus 25 square meters on the bottom, I should have said, gets me a total area of 61 square meters. So I don't have a formula for for an L-shaped figure, but dividing it up into shapes I do know how to find the area of is a great way to find the area of these figures. And like I said, I showed one way to do it. There are certainly other ways we could have split this figure and found that same area. They've also asked me for perimeter, so we should probably go ahead and find that as well. Perimeter means add up all the sides around the figure. So I've got a 9 and a 9 going around that way, so let's add those together. So 9 plus 9. Continuing around the figure, I've got a 5 and a 5 right there, so let's add 2 more 5s. And then wrapping all the way around, I've got a 4 and a 4 to finish out the figure. So there were 6 sides to my living room, so I should make sure I'm adding up 6 numbers. Adding all those values together get me a perimeter of 36 meters around this figure. Okay, let's go ahead and do one more step with these problems. Let's do an application step. So we found its area, but let's do one more part. Let's suppose I've got one of these vacuum cleaners with, I guess I put an iPod on it, so it's DJ Roomba, going around cleaning my living room. They tell me how fast the vacuum can clean. It cleans 2 square meters in 8 minutes. And what I want to do is figure out how long it would take to clean the entire living room. Well, first question I need to figure out is whether I'm working with area or perimeter. Since the vacuum is cleaning the entire living room, not just the outside of it, I need to be working with area. So that's what I need to be using this time. There's, again, a few ways to do this problem. So if you have your own method that works out, go ahead and use it. But what I like to do is I like to use a proportion problem. And so I'm going to set up my rate as 2 square meters in 8 minutes. So there's part of my proportion. And then set that equal to, since the area is on top over here, I'm going to put the area on top on this side. I have 61 square meters I'm working with, and I don't know how many minutes that's going to take, so X minutes on the bottom. So I like to do these problems as a proportion, although like I said, certainly there's other ways to do them. Cross multiplying gets me 2x equal to 488 when I multiply 61 times 8, and then dividing both sides by 2 gets me a time of 244 minutes, make sure you label answers, to clean this entire living room. If I wanted to find hours, because 244 minutes, I'm not really sure how long that is. If I wanted to find hours, I could convert this by dividing by 60, since there's 60 minutes in an hour, and I'd find out that that's going to take about 4 hours to clean this entire living room.